What's up, guys? Ryan Schultz here from E39 Source in San Diego, California. This is a service in review of an absolutely gorgeous 2004 BMW E46 M3 convertible. This car is finished in Imola red, has a black leather interior, and a traditional 6-speed manual transmission. My client purchased this car from New York and had it shipped directly to us here in San Diego. We started the service with our multi-point inspection, which goes through 106 or so different points throughout the car. That's mechanical, driveline, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes, interior, fluids, filters, electronics, seats, cosmetics, you name it, we inspect it, give a full report on the health standing of everything. And as expected, with 19,900 miles on this car in 19 years, it came in and didn't need a whole lot, but the owner indicated to me he wanted this car to be really nice, which makes me excited. That's the way I like to do these projects. Complete restorations, every clip, every bolt, every nut, everything's factory, everything dialed in and right. And that's what we've been able to do with this example. Here's the invoice for this car with some personal and sensitive data blocked out per customer request. It's 13 pages, it's a little hefty. We're gonna take some time here and go through each service item. Some I'll elaborate a little bit more on, some will be just kind of glossed over. It's very self-explanatory. After the inspection, we started off refinishing the wheels. The old wheels had a little bit of wear, a little bit of paint fade in this chrome shadow finish. It's the same finish as the E39 M5 on these 67s. Looks absolutely beautiful. They've nailed this reproduction of the finish. It's a very, very difficult finish to do. And get a look at those, and in my opinion, these really set off the car. I love the way the colors change here in the sunlight. It'll be a little darker, a little lighter, a little glossier. Just absolutely gorgeous wheel design for this car. Noticed during the test drive that the steer head angle wasn't quite right, so we had an alignment performed. BMW considers the transmission and differential fluids to be lifetime fluids. Even with synthetic fluids, that's not reality. We went ahead and changed the transmission as well as differential fluid. The inspection revealed some very dry, saggy, and cracking motor mounts. Just 19 years of time will do that. Doesn't need a lot of mileage. So we went ahead and did the motor mounts as well. Par for the course on pretty much any BMW. We found the power steering lines to be leaking. It's just one of those hoses, not in or out of the cooler, but at the bottom of the reservoir. So it's got a new hose in there and fresh power steering fluid. As we continue to discuss fluids and filters, we did a fuel filter as well for preventative maintenance. I believe the factory recommended interval there is around 30,000 miles, so we're a bit premature, but that filter's been exposed to fuel now for nearly 20 years. Kind of a good thing to do preventatively. Bit of a nitpicky item here, but the only rust we could find on this car was on the rear wheel speed sensor hardware. Those screws don't exist anymore, so we bought the front ones, found out they were too long, trimmed those to size, and put them in the rear. Under the hood, we've got a fresh engine air filter. We've got a fresh cabin air filter. We've got a brand new windshield cowl and all the hardware there, including the small side spats that are often overlooked. These are just as dry, faded, and worn from the same harsh environment here, so you're better off to just replace all those at the same time. Small cosmetic repair here. The old M badge had started to bubble or flake, so we've got a nice fresh badge there. Moving over to the left here, we see the coolant bottle. I think BMW recommends a 2-year interval for that change. We went ahead and drained out the block as well as the radiator and the expansion tank and just changed all the coolant. And while we're still on fluids, we went ahead and did a brake fluid flush as well. The mechanical fan clutch and blades on this M3 were original, so they have been replaced with original equipment parts. This is important because as these fan clutches wear, they can actually seize, and that will mate the RPM of the plastic fan to that of the engine. This is an 8,000 or so RPM engine. The fan is not rated for anywhere near that, so what will happen is the brittle plastic fan blades will explode, take out your hood, radiator, cause a bunch of damage in there. Not to mention sounding like a school bus, so you're better off to replace those. I recommend a 10-year interval. During the test drive on this car, I noted something fly over top of the car, thankfully not hitting the car. When we got back, the BMW roundel was missing. It had broken before, somebody had glued it in place, so that was a good opportunity to go in there, clean up the paint, replace that roundel. The front bumper on this car was virtually perfect, but during the inspection we did note some scraping, likely from parking pylons on the lower edge of the bumper. After discussing this with the customer, we decided to refinish the entire bumper cover, which is now flawless. We've also got fresh hood and trunk struts. That's often overlooked. That's a really affordable way to make your car kind of just feel newer. The hood pops open freely, the trunk pops open freely, and doesn't crash into place as you close it. The M3 side mirrors are known to get a little wobbly, which creates a problem when driving over rougher roads. You'll notice the entire mirror is blurry because it's bouncing up and down. The solution to that is to take the mirror off and slightly take it apart, tighten up some screws, throw some red Loctite in there. Now we've got nice tight mirrors. Also on the mirrors, the only aftermarket part we found on this entire car were those horrible glass bubbles here. So we took those off and cleaned up the glass, and you'd never know they were there. The convertible top on this car works brilliantly. We'll put it down shortly to give a little demo of that. And 30 minutes ago, it was completely clean. I've got a little bit of dust in there I'll clean off before the final delivery. There were a few very minor stains here. Somebody must have sent something in this area. So I used actually a Full-X carpet cleaner and was able to get that out completely. Moving back to the trunk, we also had a few stains in this carpeting. All of those came out beautifully. See these new hood and trunk struts making a really nice firm trunk lid that springs itself open from that low. Take a look in the toolkit. We did replace a few missing tools in here, and the one that will jump out to you as missing now is that tow hook, and that's because the E46 doesn't keep it here, at least the M3. In the M3, you will find the tow hook down here under this door next to your tire compressor. Per customer request, we've also got a C-Tech brand battery charging cable wired up to our new genuine BMW battery under that door, ready to be plugged in and charged. The original M3 badge had faded pretty reasonably, so we've got a new badge on there. Moving inside the M3, we'll get a look at this 19,000 mile interior. Do not see many in this condition. We've got a few new trims, a few new items in here. We'll start kind of at the entryway. This black plastic trim here was all scuffed from people getting in and out of the car in what must have been clown shoes. So we've got a new piece of trim here. The E46 center console is made in what BMW considers soft touch plastic. I call it easy scratch plastic. So we've got a brand new center console, new cup holders, new tray, as well as coin wheel. This is a new genuine BMW shift knob, which does indeed light up in red. And up here, what they consider the sunglasses storage pocket is also fresh. Those get all scratched up. This rear view mirror had the obligatory bubble up there at the top. So that's been refurbished and no longer has the bubble. And yes, of course, it still dims. Also note that for 2003 or 2004, BMW integrated the HomeLink panel here into the mirror, as well as the SOS function. Back outside and back to mechanicals. So we ended up removing the exhaust and drive shaft from this car, replacing all of the gaskets, seals, and hardware along the way, and we rebuilt the shifter carrier bushings. Even at 20,000 miles, those parts had been heat cycled enough. I noted the shifter wasn't quite as tight as it should be. So fresh carrier bushings paired with an E60 545i short shift lever make this transmission shift absolutely beautifully. It is one of the best feeling BMW manual transmissions I have ever felt. I credit the low mileage to that. The lower steering wheel trim had a fair bit of wear in it, so we've got a fresh piece of trim there. The M3's floor mats are on an international back order right now, so we've got an order placed. As soon as those come in, I'll get them to the customer. I imagine these were original. Of course, the backing is missing. Not too bad for almost 20 years old, though. When this car came in, we noted that to get the brake to engage, you had to have the handle pulled up about twice that far. So we did a full adjustment there, really tightened it up, and now that's going to hold the car on any sort of reasonable incline. Our electronics scan covered that the DME, or engine computer, had one active code stored, and that was for the e-box fan. E-box is electronics box, which on the M3 is right here. That houses your engine computer and transmission computer if you were to have an SMG car. And there's a little fan in there to keep those electronics cool. When that fan motor gets too much resistance or starts to wear out, you'll see that code come up. So we went ahead and replaced the e-box fan. The owner indicated that he wanted to have the wind deflector for this car, so we went ahead and purchased that from BMW. It's new in the box right back here in the trunk, and I feel like they made that fit on purpose, knowing that they would take it home in the box. It just fits in there. A first for me was installing the blue bus on an E46 M3 convertible. I had not done that in the past, just on my 02 330xi and a few random 325s or 328s. The blue bus installs in the trunk. It replaces the wiring for the 6-disc CD changer, which this car is not equipped with. That CD changer would have been here. After removing these plastic storage cubbies in addition to the trunk lining, we easily found the CD changer pre-wiring, which unfortunately was too short to get to our blue bus mounting spot, which is right back here behind the driver's seat on the bulkhead. We took all that carpeting out and mounted it where the TCU would go. So it's a really nice, clean installation. The wires were too short, so I used an iBus extension cable created by TED, the blue bus manufacturer. So we've got a beautifully clean plug-and-play installation with no modifications made to the wiring. I also left a USB cable attached to the blue bus for easier software updates. We'll just need to remove this lower trunk carpeting, pop out this little black panel, it's right there and labeled blue bus, so it'll be easy to update that software in the future. And finally, we're on to the cosmetics. So 3 main categories here, one being interior. The interior of this car appears to be a Napa leather, which is gorgeous, but also relatively sensitive. There were several scratches or lightly worn areas on the leather throughout the car. We had our leather specialist come out, spend a few hours on the interior, and virtually make it perfect. He was even able to take care of the scratches and scuffs and these soft touch plastic items here right along this lip. The original finish had worn off considerably, and I looked into replacing that item, and it was either no longer available or just cost prohibitive. What he was able to do in a few hours in here, unbelievable. These things look new. Passenger door armrest had a notable scratch right here, and again, you'd never know it. For exterior reconditioning, we started with PDR, or paintless dent removal. We had our specialist come out and use his line lights and actually found even more than I had. This rear quarter panel had a few very, very minor creases or dings, thankfully not in the body line, either right above or below. A few hours with his magic, all gone. And lastly, we sublet this car to Elite Finish here in San Diego for their entire exterior process, including paint correction and polishing, in addition to a ceramic coating at the end. Even out here on a somewhat gray Southern California day, it is just glowing in red. It came in a beautiful car, but you could see swirls, improper washing techniques, you know, it's a little hazy, a little faded, and it is just glistening out here now. A convertible is always more fun with the top down. Let's put it down for a few shots here and get a look at how that works. I always prefer to start the engine for this process, though you don't have to. E46 top operation is incredibly smooth and quick. Just press and hold this button right here. Windows automatically come down. And then one of my favorite features about these M3 convertibles, there's a button right here to lower all the windows at once. You don't have to press 4 switches, you don't have to wait, it's one touch. And we are now a red BMW convertible with a stick. All right, guys, that is a wrap on the 2004 E46 M3. This car's been a pleasure to work on. We'll miss having it around. It's certainly one of the cleanest and just most beautiful cars that we've had the pleasure of working on. But I know the owner's very excited to get this car. We're just in June here. He's gonna have one heck of a summer with this thing. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those below or email me, Ryan@e39source.com. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks again.